I'll call this meeting to order. It is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, and it's 12 o'clock, and we're here to discuss staffing shortage and facility planning, and I will turn it over to the Sheriff's Department.
All right, so on the agenda this morning, I'm going to open it up with a letter addressing my concerns. I'm just going to read the letter to you. It's just kind of an easier way for me to keep track of what I talk about, make sure I get all my points covered. After that, the Undersheriff is going to discuss the staffing shortage and some statistics to kind of back that up. Following that, Captain Lopez is going to discuss operational impact from staffing shortages. So I gave each of you a letter, nothing that you have to study, just information only. And I need my glasses. So the letter is addressing our current staffing shortage in the jail, which is dire. Today I come before you with a critical issue that demands our immediate attention. The staffing shortage at the Shoshone County Jail. The level of staffing in our agency is not just vital to our mission, vision, and purpose, but it also plays a crucial role in ensuring the safety of both our deputies and inmates. The nature of responsibilities with the jail demands adequate staffing levels, often requiring duplicate staff for safety reasons. In recent months, our staffing levels have reached dangerously low levels, putting a strain on already overworked and exhausted personnel. A major concern that needs to be addressed with the Board of County Commissioners is the alarming turnover rate among our detention deputies, which is nationwide. I mean, it's not just an us issue, it's a nation issue. And the subsequent impact on the safety of our employees, inmates, and the community at large. Recruiting and retaining personnel have become equally formidable challenges, exacerbated by factors such as mental health disorders, substance abuse disorders, and the violent tendencies exhibited by some of our inmates, discouraging potential candidates from pursuing a career in the detention center. Currently, our office faces the struggle of maintaining sufficient staffing levels, failing to meet the minimum staffing requirements per shift. So at the moment, we have one person per shift. With only 5 detention deputies, one of whom serves as our captain overseeing the day-to-day operations and the behind the scenes that keep the operation moving, it has become the norm of one of our deputies to be responsible for overseeing 49 to 58 inmates. It just depends on the day how many inmates we have. The consequences of the staffing shortage are dire. There's an escalation of liability concerns for the jail, with the remaining deputies being forced to work overtime to sustain operational efficiency. This could potentially lead to rushed work, errors, or compromised safety due to exhaustion, posing a risk to both the staff and the inmates. Furthermore, capacity of the jail is contingent on the available staff to support its operations. Without viable solutions, we may be compelled to reduce the inmate capacity to ensure safety, possibly requiring us to transport inmates to external facilities for housing, leading to significant financial strain on Shoshone County, which is not an ideal solution. That is not what we want to have to do. It is imperative that we address the staffing shortage at the Shoshone County Jail with urgency and dedication. The safety and well-being of our employees, inmates, and the community are at stake, and it is a collaborative responsibility to find solutions to these challenges. So basically, we have a major issue with our staffing. We recognize that. We've been turning it over in our head for weeks and months and weeks, and we did come up with some ideas. Mm-hmm. Most larger, like say Kootenai, I'll just use them. They house their overcapacity inmates at Nez Perce. It's very expensive to do that, to house your inmates elsewhere, because you have to pay for transport to and from court, you have to pay for their housing, medical, everything, and we're talking multiple inmates, and it's just not an option for Shoshone County. Mm-hmm. So, Undersheriff's going to discuss some statistics kind of supporting where we're at, and Captain Lopez will kind of hit the meat and potatoes of how it's impacting us, and then Undersheriff's going to come up with some solutions. He did some surveying of employees, and we do have a couple solutions. So, okay. Undersheriff, I'll turn it over to you.
I got just a quick question.
Yeah.
You said I've noticed there's been a lot of turnover. Have you guys done exit interviews? Most likely. Mm-hmm. And what's the main concern of your exit interviews on a scale of, what's why?
It kind of is a gambit of things. One of them is that they say it's too much responsibility for the pay, too much stress for the pay, because you never know when you're going to be fighting for your life back there. You're only one against, say, if you go into a block.
10 to 12.
10 to 12 people. I think overall, there's a real, I mean, if you if you have a sense of duty and you want to serve your community, and you go to work in detention, and then you walk back there, and you're surrounded by very negative and depressed people who are manipulating you on a daily basis, people who are always like harping you for their needs. It's just not the healthiest place to work for people. And then on top of that, you're surrounded by a dreary environment. I mean, the facility is, I mean, you just did your walkthrough. I mean, it's broken, it's ugly, it's falling apart. And I think once you're back there, you don't want to be back there. Mentally, it's very draining on people. I think Undersheriff could probably explain that. But it basically comes down to safety. People just don't feel safe working with inmates because you just never know what's going to happen. And I think it comes down to money because they can make a lot more money just going to Kootenai. The majority of the people that have left law enforcement. They didn't go to Kootenai. They didn't do anything. They just left the field, which is a growing problem across the nation. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think you covered it pretty well. The definitely, we've been having lots of discussions about medical in the jail. That's a really heavy burden on the deputies, making a lot of medical kind of calls and decisions and dealing with, I would say, an overall inmate health decline. We're getting people that are less healthy and more issues, and so our transport to the hospital are frequent. The amount of call-outs are going way up. So just the overall stress that's creating. One guy that recently left, in his exit interview, he pretty much just said, I had no idea what I was getting into. This is way crazier, way more than I ever thought. I thought you'd just kind of walk around and check on some prisoners once in a while.
It's interesting you say that because yesterday we had a gentleman shadow in the jail. He just wanted to see what the jail was like to work there. And I went back there to take some pictures and do some basic, stuff for later projects. And I talked with him a little bit, and I said, well, what brings you here today? And he goes, well, I work with children in a children's home, and I frequently get attacked by the kids. And he's like, I don't want to have to do that anymore. And I thought this would be a good way to, get into law enforcement and get a good retirement and all that. And, I'm inside I'm thinking, well, I'm not sure that this is the best environment for you because you're going to be going hands-on with people, possibly on the daily, on the weekly for sure. So it's, I think people just don't understand what they're going to get into when they get back there.
Okay.
All right, so I'll kind of just get into kind of how we got there and kind of the trend that's going on with our detention hired over the last 3 or 4 years, and then the amount we've been able to retain in that time. And so if you look in here, it's actually towards the bottom. It's like the third from the bottom page. Is kind of out of order, but it'll say kind of detention deputies lost hired by year, and then the amount that remain. So if you look in 2023, 2023 was a really hard year. We lost like 6 within a 4-month period. We lost like 6 deputies, and we were able to recruit 6 more, but you can see that over that 2-year period that we brought those 6 people on, only one of those people even remain employed today. So the attrition is about 1 to 2 years. And the sad part about that is, like, the first year, they're not really that much help. That first year, they're literally just getting trained, sending them to the academy, just tons of investment of time and money into them. And so if they're only lasting 2 years, that means we're getting probably like one good year out of them, maybe. That they're actually really helping us and kind of helping us move forward. So then in 2024, we lost another 3 deputies, and we hired 2. Well, the 2 we hired, that was with recruiting all year. we were only able to bring on 2 deputies last year with having ads out, trying to get people on all year long. That was all the people that would have been eligible to hire or that applied. So we had a major recruitment drop off in 2024 because we had multiple positions open all year, and that was as much as we could bring on.
I think people just want to be social media influencers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they just want to do other things nowadays, and I think service is just not.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So how many when you post this stuff online or wherever you post it, how many applicants do you get usually?
Well, like in this year, we probably, like in 2024, we had it open all year. We probably had 4 applicants all year.
Oh, really?
And then
that's with the job service. That's with Idaho Post website, and that's like hitting it on our social media.
Word of mouth,
like anything we can do.
And you're posting it with the Idaho Department of Labor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the county website too. You got it on there? Or?
I don't know that
It sits on the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of course we do.
Sure it is. So, we have recently, it's almost, I don't know if it has to do with people feeling more a sense of, a lot of the people that hire on they hire on because they have a sense of purpose or service. You know, you don't hire on to do these kind of jobs to get rich or to make a ton of money. We have to have a community that has a sense of wanting to serve. Mm-hmm. And when we lose that as a community, we lose our applicants. And I don't know if it's just because of the recent election or whatever, and federally, nationally, but we have had more applicants recently. Mm-hmm. So in the last month or two, all of a sudden people are applying again a little bit. So we have like maybe 5 decent applicants, but usually if you figure you have 5 applicants, there's probably even only 2 out of 5 that are hireable, that would fully qualify for the job or be someone you want to put in that position. So it's not like we get applicants and they're a good fit for that type of work. You kind of start weeding them out. It could be something as simple as what we see even more and more is drug use amongst our youth. So they're all experimenting with narcotics more and drugs, and
physical fitness.
Their physical fitness is horrible.
We'll send them to training at Post, and they won't pass the physical fitness standards.
Yeah, so we just had one deputy that we lost, just quit on the 23rd. He was unable to pass the physical fitness standards at the academy. He couldn't make the run. His knee hurt, and he was a younger guy. But so that's some of the hurdles we run into in the jail, is they still have these standards that they need to meet that are right up there, the same standards as a patrol deputy. Mm-hmm. They have to meet those same standards, and a lot of the applicants don't meet those standards. So, but at least we are getting some applicants. But I mean, for insight into how it used to be when I hired on in 2002, there was only 3 positions for the whole department available, and there was 25 to 30 applicants testing when I hired on. That's how much it's dropped off in, 20 years. It's just now if you get 4 or 5 a year, that's kind of where we're at.
And it's nationally. Everybody's struggling with it.
So, yeah, and we have some of the stuff going on. We have 2 guys right now that we ran through testing. They're in backgrounds and doing some other stuff. So we still haven't brought them on, so we're hoping to bring them on. Part of the issue is that with our jail staffing being so low right now, we can only train 2, maybe 3 people at a time. And that's going to be about a 5 to 6 month turnaround to get them trained to where they can at least kind of function on their own a little bit. So it's not going to be a quick fix for sure. And then that, of course, puts more strain on your staff because their training is very demanding while you're trying to work to pull the whole shift. You're pretty much working by yourself and trying to teach someone. So typically the ideal training situation is you're working with a partner that you already have, and then you have a trainee with you, so you can focus on that trainee. But when you're short-staffed, you have to focus on the trainee and everything going on in the jail, so the training suffers greatly.
Well, and the training requires a ton of paperwork. You have to fill out paperwork every day on the training, what you trained on, how they responded to it, corrections. It's a lot.
So and then we're dealing with one deputy that's on administrative leave, and we have another one that is on FMLA. So it's literally left it down to 4 deputies in the jail.
So how large is your jail staff, starting from the captain down to the?
There's supposed to be 11, 11 deputy positions. Well, 2 sergeants, 9 deputies, and then a captain. So a total of 12.
Okay. And what do we have right now?
4 plus
4.
captain.
So we have 1 sergeant, 3 deputies, and the captain.
Okay.
Captain, do you want to kind of go into some of the day-to-days?
Yes, I'm going to kind of discuss, the effects of being short-staffed, and then go into some of the reasons why we might be missing some of our security checks. And I'm just going to read this off so we can go quickly. And then I wrote a couple of notes from personal conversations I've had with my deputies that I kind of want to share with you, and that'll be quick. It shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. So I'm just going to read this off as it reads, no different than what the sheriff just did. All right. So when our jail is short-staffed and operating with single coverage, various critical issues can arise, leading to significant consequences for both inmates and staff. Here's a detailed list of the potential issues. Number 1, increased risk of deaths. Medical emergencies, delayed response to medical emergencies can result in serious health complications or fatalities, particularly for inmates with pre-existing conditions. Suicides, insufficient monitoring and support can increase suicide risks among inmates. And I'm going to stop right there. Even last night, we had an attempted suicide. The guy had the sheet around his neck. Sergeant Cartwright was working alone in the jail. Luckily, he got there in time to cut it off. He was medically clear. The guy's fine, but now we have 15-minute checks. I have 1 deputy doing that, plus the jail right now, just to put things in perspective how fast things can go. And luckily Sergeant Cartwright had inmates help him cut this guy down, so the inmates are actually trying to help out as well, which is not cool. All right, number 2, riots. Inmate frustration. Lack of supervision can lead to increased tensions, potentially igniting riots or disturbances, as inmates may feel neglected or unsupported. If they ain't getting their needs met, they start to throw their fits. They feed off of one another, and it gets very stressful. When you do a jail round, we call it soul sucking. You walk into a block, and the demeanor on the inmates will just suck you dry. Insufficient crowd control with only 1 deputy on duty, managing large groups becomes nearly impossible. Number 3, fights. Inmate violence. Short staffing can lead to unchecked conflicts, resulting in fights that can escalate quickly without a timely intervention. Inadequate conflict resolution. Limited staff means fewer opportunities for mediation and conflict resolution. Number 4, medical issues. Delayed health care access. Inmates may not receive necessary medical attention promptly, worsening health conditions. Mental health oversights. Increased likelihood of missing mental health checks, leading to unaddressed psychological issues. 5, maintenance issues. Neglected facility repairs. Lack of staff can result in deferred maintenance, leading to unsafe conditions, broken locks, plumbing issues, all that. If the deputies are not focusing on things that are breaking down and not letting my sergeants or myself know about them, then we'll go 4 or 5 months without knowing a lock's been busted on one of the doors and they're using a different entrance to get in and out of there. And number 6, I'm going to get on that more on this next list. Missed security checks. Infrequent cell checks. With one deputy handling multiple areas, routine security checks may be missed, increasing the risk of contraband or escape attempts. Failure to monitor high-risk areas. Areas that require constant observation may be neglected, leading to security breaches. Number 7, safety checks. Now, there's a difference between security and safety checks. Safety check would be more somebody who's on a suicide watch or on a medical watch of some sort. Emergency preparedness. Single coverage may limit the ability to conduct safety drills or respond effectively during emergencies. Inadequate surveillance, insufficient monitoring can compromise safety protocols, leaving blind spots in inmate observation. Actually, no, the well-being checks, that's the suicide watches, I apologize. Well-being checks. Neglect of inmate welfare. Routine checks on inmates' well-being may be overlooked, leading to increased stress or mental health issues among inmates. Isolation risks. Inmates in solitary confinement may not receive adequate observation, leading to potential harm to the inmates or to staff themselves. 9, increased stress on staff. Burnout and fatigue. Deputies working alone may experience higher stress and fatigue, impacting their performance and decision making, which brings us into higher liability risk. Increased responsibility on fewer staff can lead to mistakes and oversights, or resulting in legal liability for our facility. Communication breakdowns. This is number 10. Lack of coordination. Single coverage can hinder effective communication among staff, leading to inconsistent enforcement of rules and policies. I'm going to stop right there quick. So every night and every morning when shifts swap, we have what we call the shift brief. So we talk about what happened during that shift, and we try to document during the day issues that happened throughout that shift. And a lot of times with the deputies running up and down trying to make sure that everything's going right in the facility, they'll forget to put them things down in a brief. And then when the next shift comes on, they might not know something as big as somebody's on a suicide watch because they forgot to relay that information. Delayed reporting. Important incidents may not be reported in a timely manner due to the deputy's limited capacity to document and respond. In conclusion with this, that was a typo there. Our jail with single coverage due to short staffing can have dire consequences, affecting not only the safety and security of the facility, but also the well-being of inmates and staff. It is crucial for our jail administration to address staffing issues to ensure proper oversight and maintain a safe environment. And this thing I'm going to go into is one of the things that we continue to fail when we get our jail inspection is our security checks, our well-being checks, all that, you know. And,
you want to explain how they need to be done and how often and all that?
So, per our policy, we have to check on the inmates every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes we have to check on our inmates. And if we go over that, per Idaho state standards, if we go over that by an hour, even 1 second over an hour, we lose like a point for that, unless we have a good reason why it took us so long to do a security check, and that causes us to lose our certification and not pass our jail inspection. Am I missing anything on that, Lance?
No, pretty much they give you up until an hour to make that security round. Our policy is every 30 minutes. They
That
need to be
keeps us
done.
in the safe zone.
It keeps us safe, but what happens is with the jail standards, there's no leniency past that hour. That's like a grace period from that 30 minute to an hour. Like you're running late, whatever, but so staffing is not a viable reason they'll accept as missing that by an hour. So you'll fail your jail inspection just for missing one of those during a period. Usually what they'll do is they'll audit a certain time period and so many days in this month, so many days in this month, and so many days. And they'll, if they see one in jail check that's over by 1 minute, they'll give you, you'll lose your certification pretty much. So
Yeah.
we're not getting our certification due to staffing anyways.
And capacity, we're always over capacity. We're always over 48 beds, inmates, so we will not get our certification.
And on top of our checks, our security checks, like I said, even today, we also have another inmate who's on suicide watch. So on top of them half-an-hour checks, that deputy has 15 minutes, every 15 minutes, has to go get a visual on the inmate who's on a suicide watch and then document the last time of life, if that makes sense. So if that inmate was pacing, we got to stop and document all of that. So we have record every 15 minutes what that inmate is doing. And when you have one deputy doing that, serving trays, taking phone calls, medical requests, inmate requests, the list goes on. I don't need to go into all of it because I'd sit here for another hour. Anyways, I'm just going to go through this list. It's a little shorter. Here are some of the reasons why staff working alone in our jail might miss security checks. Number one, increased workload. With fewer staff members available, the workload may become overwhelming, leading to missed checks. Number two, distractions. Staff may be distracted by other tasks, inmate interactions, or emergencies that require immediate attention. Number three, fatigue. Working alone can lead to fatigue, especially during long shifts, affecting concentration and attention to detail. 4, lack of support. Without colleagues to assist, staff may feel isolated and less motivated to adhere to strictly to protocols. 5, communication breakdowns. Inadequate communication systems can hinder staff from receiving necessary updates or alerts about security concerns. Number 6, inadequate training. Insufficient training on security protocols or emergency procedures may lead to lapses in judgment or oversight. Technical failures. Malfunctions in the surveillance system or security equipment can result in missed checks. Obviously, we're in an era of technology, and sometimes that technology does fail. So even though my deputies are in there doing their rounds, it's not registering. And then my sergeant, he reviews the jail rounds, making sure that we're on track with our safety checks, and all of a sudden it's showing that a deputy missed one. So then he has to stop, review video footage, and it shows the deputy going in there. At the time, the deputy's saying that he's going in there, doing the check, but it's not registering. So we have technology at hand with some of these missed checks once in a while too. Number 8, emergency situation. Unforeseen incidences such as fights or medical emergencies can divert attention away from routine security checks. Overconfidence. Staff may feel overly confident in their ability to manage the situation alone, leading to complacency. 10, limited time. Time constraints may force staff to prioritize other tasks over routine checks. Psychological stress. The mental strain of working in a high-stress environment may impair focus and decision-making. 12, lack of accountability. If there is no clear system for accountability, staff may feel less compelled to perform security checks consistently. And last on here is 13, maintenance issues. And I just wrote some notes on here as well about the other day we had a flood. Luckily, I don't think we had any late checks, maybe one. We had one late check, but we had a major flood. The deputy had to go downstairs. This happened on a night shift, so we didn't have a maintenance man. Had to shut off all the water in the building. Called a maintenance man, and he started focusing more on taking care of this flood, so we went over an hour on one of our rounds. Locks not working properly and any other unforeseen maintenance issues.
Yeah, the reason he's going over how that impacts the safety checks and the cell checks, probably the most important job you have as a detention deputy is just keeping track of everything that's going on in jail, and that involves walking around it constantly. And so every 30 minutes you got to walk the whole jail and check everything. It's the most important thing. The first thing we teach you pretty much when you get there, this is how we check on the whole facility and make sure everything's okay.
And you have to go into every pod where the inmates are,
So it's, even if you do a bunch of other stuff wrong, as long as you do that correctly, you're at least not neglecting the inmates in the facility by checking on them. That's where you really get into trouble, is when you're not checking on them regularly and you just ignore a problem for 2 hours or something. So that's why we're hitting so hard on these safety checks and that stuff. It's probably the crucial part of that jail is checking on it all the time.
And the last thing I'm going to hit on, this is straight from the heart, straight from my staff themselves, is to kind of put things in perspective. And I don't think that a lot of people realize what really goes on in a detention facility. So, we hire a lot of people who've never been in fights before. They've never dealt with major conflict other than maybe arguing with their brother or sister, right?
I had 5 brothers. I got in fights all the time.
So it takes an emotional toll on my staff. It takes an emotional toll on myself, the sheriff, the undersheriff, all of us. As tough as we think we are, it does. And it gets in your head. And when you're fighting inmates and making medical calls and mental health decisions, wondering if you're making the right decision, I have deputies that are struggling to sleep at nighttime. It gets in their head sometimes for days and days on end, wondering if they made the right call, or they're processing that fight that they got into. Their heart rate skyrocketed, and they're still trying to process if what happened really just happened. When you have another human being that hates you so much and wants to fight you, and you're pulling the taser out on them, that's an experience that I don't know how to explain to people unless you've done it yourself. So, my deputies, they call me up 24/7, and they open up to me and they tell me things that they're struggling with. And my deputies are struggling with sleep, stress, major depression, isolating themselves, drinking. They feel alone, like nobody understands them. Their relationships are falling apart in their marriages because they feel like their wife doesn't know where they're coming from, when they just need to be able to talk to somebody about it. So when you get people who want to get their foot in the door for law enforcement, they come in there and they see what's really, really going on, and they start asking themselves, do I really, really want this? Is this even worth it anymore? Because like I said, it's scary when you see somebody pass away in your arms, an inmate that you liked and that you cared about, and all of a sudden they end their lives, or you didn't get them to the hospital fast enough. It affects you. And I get emotional here talking about it right now. It affects the heck out of me too. And that's all I got with that. I could go into that for a long time too, but there's a lot to what we do in there, and the perspective of what jails used to be, it's a lot different now. A whole different mentality of people and a whole different mentality of employees.
All right, so we're hearing a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So where's the solution?
Yeah.
You're not, Commissioner.
No, well, yeah,
and the undersheriff took the time to survey employees and kind of see what their ideas were, so he's gonna pop up on
the other thing we didn't hit on, Eli did a thing about it. We don't need to go. We don't need to go into all that, but I don't know if you're aware that we're losing Sean Leroy, the court security.
I think I heard that.
Yeah, and so he doesn't have an exact timeline, but he did say he will give us 2 to 3 weeks notice. It's either going to be in February or possibly in May. It all depends. He's building a house somewhere, and
now is he jail certified?
So he's not jail certified, but there's a lot of stuff that Sean has actually been doing for the jail
as a jail tech.
Okay.
Which is different than a detention.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he does help us a lot with the court side of it, just taking inmates to court and all that. He can't do the security rounds of the jail and actually work right in the jail itself, but he helps with bookings. He helps with some of the medical stuff, documentation. So he has been helping us a lot, and that's going to be another just hit to kind of, because we have been short-staffed for a while now there, but it's just kind of hit critical short levels in the last month or so. So we're...
So just one quick question. So let's say you lost all your jail staff. I mean, what powers does the sheriff have to bring people in to control that? Can you bring patrol deputies in and I mean, is
That's
that
part of the solution.
Yeah,
That's
so,
what we're
yeah,
doing.
here.
okay?
So I didn't finish long-term solutions because I'm still brainstorming and kind of what we need to do long-term. I have the short-term stuff kind of figured, what we should kind of do. So I've been meeting. Pretty much our only option is to utilize patrol right now, and they're fully staffed. So we're gonna have to pull from them a little bit. And something that we already did was one of our patrol deputies who's jail certified as well. We already pulled him off the road starting February 1st. He's going to do a month in the jail. He pretty much volunteered for it. We gave him the option, you can do it or not. We're not going to make you do this because we don't want our patrol deputies to quit either if we're forcing them to go back and work in the jail and they don't want to. We want to make it a team effort to kind of rally behind the jail, so getting them all involved.
Great.
So he agreed to do that, so we're going to do that.
We're going to start off with 1 month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great idea.
We're going to take all this on a month-by-month basis. Anything that we implement or can get approved to move ahead with. So that one we just went ahead and did. It's not going to impact the budget in any way really, and he's just going to work his shifts now in the jail for a month, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
The one thing that I talked to the sergeants about is we have to open it up for patrol deputies to help in the jail. So we don't really want to schedule them off their duties from patrol because it's going to create a whole scheduling problem in patrol. So what we're kind of brainstorming ideas, and kind of what we came up with was the idea of a sign-up sheet for their days off. Now, we can only have one patrol deputy helping in the jail at a time because there's stuff that they can't do. So
And they need to be monitored.
and they need to be monitored by the detention deputy who is certified watching them. But there is stuff that they can do to help. So we're talking about opening up to where they would sign up for overtime in the jail, and it'd just be a sign-up sheet. And our idea was to open it up. They can sign up for any day or time if they want to come in for 2 hours and help, 4 hours, whatever. The jail just needs help right now. They just need someone there to, even if that person just goes and does the checks for them, so they can book inmates in or whatever they need to do, concentrate on the medical stuff going on. So that's going to impact overtime budget. Because what's going to happen is the patrol guys are going to start accruing overtime to help in the jail.
And it'll come from the patrol budget.
Okay.
I put there should be in there the jail budget sheet from the beginning of January. I haven't got the newest one yet, but I kind of highlighted where the jail is already under budget significantly.
The last 2 pages.
Yeah, last 2 pages, I believe. With us losing even more deputies, that salaries in the jail is going to be way under budget probably by the end, month to month, till we get people on board. So what we're probably looking at doing is paying the detention or the patrol deputies overtime to help in the jail, tracking that, whatever it is, and then maybe requesting a budget transfer from the jail to
Salaries
patrol.
to patrol. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just going to track it. We're just going to take it month to month.
Okay.
See how much overtime we accrue in a month. A lot of the patrol deputies are excited to help in the jail, and they want to help in the jail. So
That's great.
we're going to have to put some type of limit on it. We're not just going to let them work all their days off every week, but so we'll kind of come up with those rules and
Try and keep a nice balance.
try and keep a balance.
Okay.
Then also we'll start a sign-up sheet for transports for patrol. And that will just be, hey, I'm available if you needed a transport for this day or this day. Because what happens with a lot of transports is a lot of them aren't scheduled. It's all of a sudden, hey, we need to take an inmate to get a doctor's appointment today. They got something wrong, or they need an x-ray today, or whatever it may be. And there's also ones that we schedule that we can have them sign up for. So a lot of them they like doing the transports. They don't mind doing it, so they'll sign up. But we're going to have them do that as well.
Or something as simple as guarding an inmate who's in the hospital and can't leave.
Okay.
The patrol could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing we're kind of mulling over, and we haven't hammered out the details, but just getting that idea ahead. One of the issues we have in the jail is the burnout from call-outs they have, and with no compensation really. They were looking at maybe trying to put in a call-out pay or something. I don't know. It's just like in the initial phase of brainstorming it, because what we have happen is the detention deputies are so burnt out that you'll try to call them or have them come in to help with situations, and they just won't answer their phones, and they won't come in, and you can't force them to do it. Mm-hmm. They've already worked their 48 hours for the week or whatever, and so it's becoming a huge issue. It was one of the things that led me to quit when I quit a long time ago. It's always been an issue of trying to get. When I was a sergeant, I had 3 nights in a row that I had to go to the hospital and guard prisoners by myself, where I had already worked the day shift, and then I would go out and to the hospital for 4 or 5 more hours in the middle of the night because none of my deputies would answer their phone. No one wants to be called out, so they're just, nope, I'm not going to help. The jail's always suffered with short staffing. Not really this short in a long, long time, but so we have to look at some way to get these guys and girls to answer their phone, be available. Just the sense of duty isn't cutting anymore. They'll do good for a while when they first start on, like 6 months. They're all pumped and motivated and want to work as much as possible. And like 6 months in, they're like, don't call me anymore. I'm not coming in.
And it just so happened yesterday on the Idaho Sheriff's Association email thread, one of the sheriffs kind of threw out, hey, we're super short-staffed and we're thinking about implementing on-call pay to try and get people to want to be on standby on their days off. And the question was, what do you guys pay for on-call pay, and does it work? And so a lot of sheriffs start chiming in, and I thought, wow, that's timing, because that's just an idea we were going to throw out. And like the undersheriff and I discussed, we don't have any details worked out, but it is an idea that we could use to try and get people to come into work when they're on their days off, even if it, we've just never done it, so we don't know what the logistics would look like, but it is an idea to try and get people to fill shift.
Okay.
Or at least be ready to fill a shift. And so when the captain, because he didn't say it, but he works all the time, and when he's on his days off, he's having to come in and do transports. He hardly ever gets a day off because people won't pick up their phone. Same with this sergeant back here. He's constantly working because nobody picks up their phone. So maybe if there is just throwing numbers out there, maybe if you get paid $50 to be on call for the weekend, or whatever it may be, that maybe people will actually pick up their phone to come to work, and then they would just get their regular wage when they came into work or something. Okay. Just an idea.
Yeah, that's creative.
Yeah, for now we're utilizing patrol in that realm, but potentially in the future we could have patrol be on call to help in the jail too or something. It's because the way we have been doing it my whole career does not work. It hasn't been working for a long time.
Make people come in. It doesn't
yeah,
really
you
work.
try to force them and they just they get so disgruntled they end up just quitting.
So our big ask today is to be able to transfer funds, or to consider transferring funds from the detention deputy to patrol overtime, so that we can use that money to pay the patrolmen to go in and work the jail.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of that for that finale.
Yep. Well, I'm really glad you guys came in, and sorry you're going through what you're going through, and but I'm really happy with how you guys have come up with a plan. And
that's the only way
good.
forward. I see we're saving money in the jail, not in a good way, but not in the way you want to save money, but we are. and I think we can utilize it best and try and limit that liability and burnout of like the 4 or 5 deputies we do have. We want to keep them.
Yeah.
Because if we lose 1 or 2 more,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
don't even know what we're gonna do. So
And the last thing we want to have to do is move inmates.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we cannot
can't.
do that.
No.
So,
I don't feel like putting my bed in my office so
Yeah.
I can be at work 24/7.
he's done it before, but he doesn't. You got anything to add, Jason?
I'm too tired to.
Yeah, we just wanted him to kind of be
Yeah.
involved, see what.
As you guys were talking, I was thinking of stuff, but it's in and out right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
He
I
worked
learned a lot here.
He
he
worked
worked
the
last
graveyard.
night, so it's
I
okay.
worked 6 to 6 last night, and then took a 2-hour nap, turned around, and came back to this. So.
And then we have a staff meeting today at 4 to get everybody sworn in. And it's gonna be a long day, buddy. Saddle up.
So yeah, once we implement it for a month, then we'll discuss should have numbers on what it's costing.
Okay.
And kind of a handle on what it's taking, and then we can maybe reconvene in a month or so and see how it's going.
Okay.
And I guess I don't know if you need to vote
Yeah,
to
let's-
allow us to do that
Um,
to allow the patrol deputies to work all that overtime, or I don't know.
yeah, for emergency situation, I think we
Mhm.
probably should vote to do that for 30 days?
30 days.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we'll just reconvene after the 30 days and
Okay.
see how it's going.
I will make a motion.
Sorry. Do we have an action item?
Oh, we don't have an action item, or do we?
No.
No, we don't. Sorry,
Okay.
good call. So we'll have to call another meeting and do
That's
that.
fine.
So
Okay.
we
Yeah.
can do that next week, next week.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
fine.
good.
Yep.
Not on the 5th.
Huh?
The 5th is next week, isn't it?
Yeah, you won't need to be here if
Okay.
they do that. We've
Yeah, you
already,
won't have
we've
to be
already
here.
had all the
Yeah.
discussion.
We had the
about it.
discussion and everything. We can come in and probably do that.
Yep.
All right. Any other comments?
Yes, sir.
Any public comment?
The only comment I have is these guys that are coming out on call outs, they're
Mhm.
still gonna work 40 hours, so they won't come out for overtime. If they're gonna work 40 hours, they're gonna get overtime sometime that week. So if it's money issue, why aren't they coming out then?
Yeah,
Burnout.
Burnout.
it's not just a money issue. That's the thing. It's part of the problem, the overall encompassing problem. But the main issue is that once they've worked their 40 hours, they don't even want to work another hour.
But
And-
it's compounding though too, because it's every week. So if you are working your days off every week, it just compounds, and then pretty soon it's like, yeah, okay, I've got these bills hanging over my head, but I need to be. It's quality of life, I think, what it comes down to, and family time.
I've worked overtime a lot.
Yep.
I understand. You
Yeah.
gotta give up one thing to pay your bills or get ahead. I always did the overtime, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, this is been. I mean, we're here today to discuss it, but it's been going on for a while, and it's pretty much at a, like we said earlier, it's like a dire situation at this point. The staff's already pretty
This
burnt out.
this has gone on for years. I mean, this has come up before that this jail is short, jail is short.
Mm-hmm. It's a never-ending battle.
Yeah. And then another issue is with them being in the what's our overtime system called? I can't even think of it
Flossa?
now. Flossa. Even if they work over 40 hours, they don't get overtime a lot of times. So I've had checks with 220 hours with no overtime on it.
Hmm.
So it's the way that Flossa works. You really get hosed on overtime sometimes. So
And no disrespect, Matt, but you and I are in a different generation, and the younger generation, they value their family time more than anything, and they're definitely willing to work overtime, but when it comes to choosing between family or money, they're going to choose family probably in the end. It's just a generational difference.
And
I
honestly,
can
on top
see
of
that.
when you're working in such a negative environment the entire time, there's no real motivation to take time away from your family to go do that if you don't want to or don't need to.
Kind of like underground, negative place to work.
Yeah, I heard that.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
All right, thank you,
do we
Commissioners.
have any? Do you have any
No,
questions or anything,
no,
Commissioner
thanks,
Cowles?
thanks
No?
for the detail.
yeah.
You know.
Man, I appreciate you
Yeah.
guys really working this out.
You
Good
bet,
job.
yeah.
Thank you. I'll adjourn the meeting.